Здравствуйте. Итак, мы продолжаем проходить «Затерянный город». На повестке дня у нас предвыборная кампания. Посмотрим, сможем ли мы сегодня провести нашего кандидата к победе. И что нам это даст.
Если мы бы играли за мужчину, смогли бы голосовать.
Salve, friend.
Ну, сначала все здание,
Oh. Yulia. Put. All right, let me see. Stop Fabia going in, but send the new arrival to the empty shrine. Understood.
Mm-hmm.
What? Are you? You're serious, aren't you? I doubt. I'll go, but once I'm done, I'll need you to tell me.
Фактически мы этого делаем нашей марионеткой. Итак, у нас, значит, из заданий греческая скрижаль выполнится после выборов.
Mm-hmm.
Праведник, это значит, мы этого выдвигаем на выборы.
Mm-hmm.
Это он сейчас все эти поручения выполнит,
Mm-hmm.
мы с ним поговорим, выдвинется на выборы. Остается тайный поклонник.
Mm-hmm. Может, это продвинется, кстати.
И грешник.
Вот.
Выполним эти две.
Здесь даже все самые маленькие задания очень связаны, поэтому... сохранить?
Как нам надо сейчас...
Фига себе метка.
Заодно сундучок заберем.
Короче, пока он бегает по заданию, надо пойти, узнать, кто указал гильдию, слышишь?
Да.
Может быть, тогда мы изменим голосование.
Так. Было бы еще круче. Слушай, а что если поговорить с этой девушкой, которая с дочерью, и напакостить этому на выборах?
Как?
Мы ее освободим и уговорим подговорить всех голосовать не за своего отца.
То есть там же говорил, что нарушил золотое правило, если ее отпустить.
Она хотела его убить. А если таким образом?
Там это можно было?
Я не знаю. Я тебе предлагаю проверить. Давай сохранимся перед входом и сбегаем, попробуем.
Хорошо.
Тем более, что вот сейчас нам подсказку дали. Попробуй найти Синтилу. Было написано. Вон тот, стражник.
Да
я знаю, что там труп один ходит.
Они, наверное, еще и оживают каждый раз.
Возможно.
Бери лук.
Там он один был.
Ну, хорошо.
Так. Прости, ты мне мешаешься. Блин, нету у нее этого в диалогах.
Это проводник, которому говорила эта жрица.
Да.
Ты освободишь, и игра закончится.
Мне хочется спасти остальных.
Ну, я походу.
Это тоже, конечно, вариант, но спасти ее одну и пожертвовать остальными, тем более мне фермер нравится.
Да, я хочу, чтобы он стал президентом.
Да. Мне кажется, если...
А ты хватит этому уже на 4-й срок разбираться.
Так. Возьмем раз тут.
Всю страну оборвал.
Раньше ты говорил, что малеол. Зараза. Политики? Что ты хочешь?
Я удивлюсь, если козлом еще этот окажется.
Кто?
Лысенький.
Лысенький, в смысле фермер?
Да.
Знаешь, в политику хорошие люди не идут. У всех рыльца в пушку. Ну, я так подозреваю, по крайней мере. Так.
He knows Malleolus's real name is Quinctius, thanks to Claudia, and demands he withdraw from the election and release Ulpius and Iulia immediately.
Are you out of your mind, farm boy?
Yes, that's enough.
What? You're not going to listen to this dolt, are you?
Hilarious. All right, I'll withdraw and make this Julia free. I trust our business is yes, that ought to do it. I guess I'll go and tell Ulpius the good news then.
Реально физически бегает.
Да.
Выполняет все это.
Да. Ладно, хоть он этот.
Кстати,
парнишка он тоже спас.
что интересно, это механика выполнения заданий, ну, этим МПС, которые обещали в крупных играх, так и не сделали.
Да. Так, нам надо все-таки поговорить, значит, с этими, кто угрожает.
Потом цветочек дать. Ты угрожаешь?
What? Absolutely not. I know someone's been threatening him, and I'm not happy about it. I can assure you.
Шакили нормально еще.
Isn't me.
Теперь.
All right.
Доспехи.
Стопудов он угрожал.
Malleolus isn't receiving visitors at the moment, it being election day. Do I seem like anonymous threats of my style?
Ну, тоже верно.
Whatever.
What? How?
Hilarious arranged it somehow.
Really? That's incredible. Oh,
Он убить он не брался.
I don't know what to say.
Какой же ты молодец, да?
Может, этот угрожал.
Citizen.
Не верится, что этот угрожал.
Потому что из-за геморроя.
Rufius. Better watch your step. No idea what you're talking about? See you around.
Не всех проверяли.
Обыскать их дома.
Там написано было?
Да.
Be careful.
Обыщем их дома. Так.
Welcome.
Я уже короткие пути запомнила. Блин. Комары. Так, смотрим.
Сразу домой.
Это гладиатор, да? Горация, знамя, римский щит.
Cerberus lifts his triple head and lets out his threefold braying.
Livia, would you stop muttering like Medea over a cauldron? You'll scare away my customers.
They follow their trades.
До самого
imitating their previous
архитектора.
lives, but they are ignorant.
Listen, you're in a world of
Невия. Ливия, не то. Все пока что. Лукреция. Посмотрим на той стороне. Да? Так, гладиатор. Руфий. Угу.
Руфий, это кто? С геморроем? Почему?
Пошли, уговорим перестать угрожать.
Citizen. No idea what you're... Look, it's the rheumatism. It starts with constant pain in all your... I know, that's not an excuse for how I acted. I'll leave him alone from now on. It's not as if I'm going to go and clean up the graffiti. Just...
Все, идем к этому.
Серый.
Ah, a new face. Salve, I hear we have you to thank for saving Julia's life.
Это то, что мы слышали.
What demon or spirit told you about that? You went snooping in his place? That was risky. We're lucky you didn't cross any lines. Have you spoken to him about it? Really? How did you manage that? Ah, poor fellow. I've heard that can really mess with a person's head. Well done for figuring that out.
Сейчас.
Really? That's promising. I'll keep an eye out for him. Well, Cynthia seems to know what he's doing. Nobody's broken the golden rule under his watch so far.
Кроме него самого.
My vote isn't for sale, if that's what you're asking. Nice to talk to you.
Значит, придется еще раз куксировать время. И просить, чтобы тот все сделал. Тогда этот проголосует за него.
Да. Логично. Что, уже выбрали? Они там общаются.
Что если притащить ему лук? Как думаешь?
Будет то же самое код. Прям лук нужен был для того, чтобы менять.
Я понимаю. Но золотой-то лук второй там все еще лежит. Можем ему раздобыть золотой лук. Может, он за это нам голос отдаст.
Да, пробуем.
А все равно нечего делать до этого.
Просто не активен уже.
Да? Ну тогда плюнем. Какие еще у нас квесты остались?
Тайный поклонник.
А, надо цветок отнести. А все равно нам с ним надо говорить, чтобы он выдвинулся на выборы.
Где он бегает?
А он у нас отмечается.
Интересно, уже выполнил задание?
Да.
Он же обещал нас подумать.
Он сказал, что потом поговорим, когда встретимся. Специально он нас искать не будет.
Salve again, friend. You're a bit like Sisyphus. Yep. Sisyphus, he was forced-
Опять пролистаем этот диалог, потому что...
Anyway, so,
Don't believe a word they tell you.
Oh, now I'm going to keep your secret. Oh, and if our conversations ever start to annoy you, just tell me your...
Он же на выборы сам баллотировался.
How did you know I wanted that flower? Did we talk about it? This is going to make her so happy. Equitia, I mean. Now what I really want to do is walk up to her, give her the flower, and confess I've been madly in love with her since the moment we met. But on the other hand, I can't shake the feeling that the consequences could be terrible. You mean aside from her execution? You see, Equitia is a Vestal priestess, meaning she's taken a vow of chastity, the breaking of which would be an extremely serious affront to the gods and a capital offense. Even if she was just suspected of being unchaste, it could lead to her execution. Unchaste Vestals get buried alive. Oh, and I'd get flogged to death for good measure. But at the same time, she's just so kind and graceful. I feel so much love for her that if I don't tell her, it'll burn a hole in my chest.
Бедный.
I don't know what to do. What do you think? What would you do?
Что стать?
Ну и что делать будем?
Да, первое, но все равно надо скучать время будет.
Now that I hear you say that out loud, I hear how crazy it is. Maybe I need to be a bit more cautious. What I need is a go-between. Someone who can tell her how I feel, find out how she feels,
Ничего.
in her life. What do you say? Do you think you could help me one more time?
Конечно.
Конечно.
Wonderful! Now, all I need you to do is give her the flower and tell her it's from a secret admirer. Tell her I'll keep my distance and that I just want her to know that she's loved. Thank you. Come back as quick as you can and tell me what she says.
Ромео и Джульетта, блин. И смотри, и статуя это показывает. Как видите, это весталка, которая проводит выборы.
Ну, это симпатично. Только это, косая какая-то.
A new face. Ave, and may Vesta watch over you. I'm Equitia. To what do I owe the pleasure of this visit? Oh, how lovely. It just happens to be my favorite, too. Who do I have to thank for this? I see. So, it's from Valerius, then? Of course I do. I think everyone in the city knows. That man is a wonderful human being, and my favorite person.
Может, она даст нам совет, как его выдвинуть.
But he is the least subtle secret admirer you could imagine. The way he looks at me with those puppy dog eyes. Plus, he's been trying for weeks to get his hands on this flower. He went to so much effort too. Suspending that rope above the lake, inventing that pulley device all on his own. He'd just stand there each morning, looking at the flower, trying to summon the courage to seize it.
Ну, походу, она тоже его любит.
Tell that adorable oaf that my Vestal's vow of chastity ends once I turn 36. So, if we ever make it out of here, and he doesn't mind waiting a few years, then tell him I love him too. I hope so.
Бедная.
See you again soon, I hope.
Ну почему? Подождать ее до 36 или...
Она станет старая, жирная, страшная. Кто знает. А так он бы с ней уже развестись бы успел.
То есть если... Так, мы с тобой потом насчет этого поговорим.
Потому что когда станет жирной, страшно.
Salve again, my Sisyphean friend. Now, what's on your mind? Thanks. What did she say? Venus, that is the best news I've ever heard in my life. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. You have no idea how happy you've made me. I wish there was something I could do to thank you properly, but...
Выиграй в выборах.
All I can do is tell you where there's a secret stash of coins you might be interested in. In the rock tunnel near the stairs, there's a little doorway set into the rock. Inside, if you look carefully, you can see a chest. Unfortunately, one of those golden huntress statues is blocking the path. I'm not game to move it. If you can figure out how to get past it, I reckon there might be a small fortune waiting for you. I hope that helps in some way.
Он просто этот.
All right, friend. Hope you find a way to break that cycle you're in.
Так.
В принципе, этот квест ничего не дал. Вот это дополнительный квест. Подожди, нажми герой как-то.
То есть у нас заданий нету на эту петлю. Я даже не знаю, как мы можем повлиять еще. Если бы мы успели тогда чуть-чуть вот.
Надо злобить время и дать все квесты этому челу.
Предлагаешь что-нибудь своровать?
Можно. Это один вариант, в принципе. Но нужна только эта скрижаль, чтобы получить. Нужно этого прийти по заданию, потом побегать. Ну, слушай, они визуально сделали так, чтобы NPC выполнял эти задания. Слышь? Они же додумались до этого, офигеть, да? Одни стрелы. Теперь не поди, главное.
Блин, зараза.
Как опластовно станет и такое время.
Подожди, может быть, с этим еще раз поговорить? Может, он все-таки отдаст нам раньше скрижаль? Ну, в крайнем случае, чего?
Давай.
Hello? Hello? Do you like it? It's... But... It's mine. And
короче, то же самое все.
Like... Yeah. My name's Dooley. I live here now. I don't know. I don't remember things so good. I think it's just... Yes, but I wasn't. They said I did it. More than once. But I can't remember things so good. Then... Yes. They said I have to live here now. And gave me this letter.
Может, по-моему, в статую проводить, чтобы нас это искусило.
What does it say? My treasure. My friend Hannibal used to look after me. He said he always would. But he said if anything ever happened to him, I had to find something very He gave me this key and made me promise to keep it safe until I found it. All I remember is he said something about assistance, but when I went up to the high one, now nobody looks after me. Except my friend Galerius. My friend Hannibal used to look after me. He said he gave me this key. All I remember is now nobody looks. Bye-bye.
То есть там есть дверка одна, которая в цистернах открывается. Без него мы не откроем ее. То есть нам по-любому надо как-то этот... Похоже, придется скуксивать время.
Давай скуксивать.
Слушай, вот у меня мысли. А что, если мы кого-то превратим в золотую статую?
Я тебе только что это предлагал.
Ну что, опробуем на том, кто нас предал?
Да.
Нет, вот все.
Shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Ух, как побежала.
Какой его превратить в золото? Дороги.
Ну, тогда мы точно тут помрем.
Наверное, будет одна из концов, слышишь? Только пятка тебе посвекает.
Увидим, как он это делает.
По-моему, там тело обычно лежало, а не скелет. Правильно?
Скелет.
Salve, friend. Mind telling me who you are and what you're doing? Oh. Yulia. Poor Virgil. Poor Rufius. All right, let me see. What? I'll go.
Нам опять цветок придется искать,
Ну,
интересно.
наверное, есть один такой самый.
Не вижу. Давай на всякий случай.
Страница вы сама пускаешь?
Да, я сама отпускаю. И тут не разобьешься. Тут либо в воду рухнешь, либо на эту скалу. Блин.
Гад все, оказывается, помнит.
You, Sisyphus, attack or pursue the
Угу.
Ты в прошлый раз так классно попала.
Вспомни бы, на какой секунде я этот делала. Сейчас почти попала, в принципе.
А,
Ё-моё.
знаешь, что еще вообще надо? Раскопать доказательства существования золотого закона для этого.
Зачем? Он же снимается с выборов.
Он же в конце приходит и начинает драться.
Потому что выиграл этот. Если выиграет этот, мне кажется, он...
О, классно.
Ну-ка.
Можно потом просто дается и все. Можно уж не скуксить его опять.
Красивый цветок, вот, его не было.
Чтобы... Когда мы выполняем задание, нужно что-то еще тоже сделать. Есть какие-нибудь задания, которые мы можем выполнить?
Там-то и дело, что нет.
А спросить, что?
Это уже после того, как мы все таблички соберем.
Потому что это 3 способа этого. Праведник что?
Это выбор.
Что там понять было написано? Все хорошо. Выдвинут, да, уже?
Он сам себя выдвинет.
Thank you, Galerius. You're a good man. And I'll be sure to lead what
Теперь
you
Вергилий проголосует за него, значит, у него все голоса будут необходимые. Теперь надо выборов дождаться.
4 против 2.
Что будем делать, пока ждем выборы? Что нам делать, что нам делать? Я даже вообще не могу припомнить каких-нибудь заданий, вот что-то, что мы могли бы сделать.
Интересно, можно ускорить выборы?
Надо поговорить с Весталкой.
С кем?
С этой. Сейчас не может говорить.
Isn't the great temple majestic?
Слушай, а что если в замок забраться? Туда.
Давай попробуем.
Там просто были кустики, помнишь, которые можно в золото превратить? Вот тут вот сбоку. Для чего-то же это сделано было?
Мы здесь спустились по куда?
Нет, мы спустились по веревке. Просто мне интересно. Блин. Взяла второй лук. Из-за этого мы из замка спускались по веревке. Мы по веревке вот по этой спустились.
Там был второй способ, видимо, спуститься.
Ну, либо это второй способ для спуска, либо это способ для подъема. Все-таки.
Да, заберись и сверху попробуй туда.
Куда?
В очко. Туда вон, наверх по лиане заберись.
По какой лиане? Так там не лиана, это дерево.
Разве?
Да. Если бы это лиана была, было бы без проблем. Вот.
Ты даже заберешься.
Я туда и хочу забраться.
Давай пытайся.
Никак. Да ё-моё, еще в кустах застряла. Я просто туда хотела забраться. Это дерево. По нему не заберешься. Я просто думала, что можно со статуей поговорить будет. Просто, может, если бы с обратного входа зашли, то там бы еще это ее не скуксило. Чем бы заняться? Пошли туда сходим, посмотрим, что тут. Там какой-то проход был. Закрытый. Нет, заперто. Смотри, как интересно. Понял, да? Тут и шумеры. Вот это Египет. Сторона египетская. Вот это шумерская, надо полагать. И тут греческая и римская. Блин. Надо будет все-таки с этой поговорить. Вон она бегает там. Октавия.
Ну, сливайся, кстати, с тобой.
Нормально.
Isn't the great temple majestic? A new face, are they? And may Vesta watch over you.
Можно ли ускорить выборы?
It'll be between Sentius, the incarnate. Why do you ask? As I said, I'm planning to hold it before dusk. But I suppose I could hold it
Кажется, все было проще.
if there's a good reason.
Муж не успел задание.
Yes. I have overheard some rather unpleasant arguments.
Может, не успел
The last thing we need here is additional conflict.
Вроде успел.
Very well. I'll get things started right away.
Бегом уж бежал. Слушай, хороший вариант, кстати.
Посмотрим.
Сходите? Ну ладно.
Ну, если сейчас не получится, значит...
It is time. Let us meet to elect our magistrate.
Реально конфликт будет.
Может, избежим конфликта этого как раз. Посмотрим.
Сейчас не буду еще долго спираться, все. Они бегом сюда приезжают.
Так да.
Выборы. Срочно.
Это только этот ходит медленно.
Кто?
Который Малеол.
А, да, кстати. Опа, такой меня избирают наконец-то.
Ну, удачки нам.
The man who put a stop to the threats I've been receiving. Galerius.
Galerius, the man who saved
Ну,
my
это и есть.
life.
Чтеки против двух. Классно. Мужик, давай. Ты классный. А, это сейчас его не убьют. Красный, который.
Нет. Сейчас этого освободят. Мы сможем наконец-то забрать табличку.
Как бы этот Сенти не натворил ничего.
Может.
Fortune smiles on you today, Julius. Magistrate Galerius here has ordered your release.
Молодец.
You're going to let me out?
I'm sorry it took so long, my friend. And it wouldn't have happened at all if it wasn't for a newcomer. So be sure to offer your thanks when you can.
I will. I will. Thank you, Galerius. I'm so happy.
I'd love to stay and chat, but I've got a lot of work ahead of me. Why don't you go to the baths? Then tell Georgius I said you could have some new clothes. Then I want you to go home and rest. I'll speak with you soon, Dooley.
Общаемся.
Hello? I'm... no. It is you. Then, thank you. You're a big helper. I was locked up, but they let me out again. I'm so happy. You can have my shiny plaque if you want, and maybe you can help me find my treasure. My friend Hannibal used to look after me, and he said he always would, but then he died. But before that, he told me if anything ever happened to him, I had to find something very precious. He gave me a key to the cisterns and told me to keep it safe. He said there's something very precious way up high. Please help me find it. Please. I had to keep it a secret until I found someone I could trust.
Ну что, сходим, посмотрим, что там может быть.
Oh, thank you. Here's the key.
Скрижаль где наш?
Он сейчас скрижали ключ отдаст.
Hope you find it. In the cisterns, way up high. Hannibal said, oh, look over there. This may be a huge treasure.
Статую увидел.
So pretty. And it's just lying out here. Maybe nobody wants it. Maybe no one will mind if I just...
Интересно, а что теперь будет вечером происходить? Новый день?
Наверное, да.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Сенти сделал.
Он не понимает просто.
Один выстрел, все. Козел.
Ладно, зато нам теперь не надо спешить. Ну, в том смысле, выпускать его прям так спешно. У нас табличка у нас уже. Но прежде чем идти к богам, я предлагаю сходить в верхнюю цистерну.
Давай, и этому заданию, кстати,
Ну, этому заданию мы сейчас раздадим.
Salve, friend. Oh. You live? Poor bird. All right, let me. What? I'll go.
Так. С этим разобрались. А в верхнюю цистерну это значит нам вниз. Сейчас.
Все в твоих руках. И даже я. Это разве сейчас цистерна хочет? А верхний там находится?
Не знаю, либо здесь, либо та дверь, которая вверху за храмом открывается. Я не знаю, я здесь видела две двери запертые. Я сначала сюда схожу.
ordinary lamp.
Понятно. Итак, короче, это был проход действительно мимо храма, мимо этой девушки. Мы открыли вход в храм. Я вставила таблички. Идем.
А что там было за сокровище-то?
Да девушка эта привязана.
Это есть сокровище?
Видимо, да.
Может, с помощью нее избежал.
Произнеси его имя.
Блин, зависит от того.
В зависимости от этого, наверное, он будет в определенном облике. Возможно.
Скорее всего, да.
Давай начнем с Аида, да?
Сохранилось?
Да.
Это лифт? Не понравился ему? Посмотрим понять.
Плутон. Ну ладно. Подожди, может быть, все зависит от того, какие статуи стоят?
Да.
Поняла. Там стояли римские, сейчас мы через египетские статуи идем. Дальше будут шумерские.
Что, типа много?
Осирис. И теперь шумеры.
Всего ты 4, да, гильдии?
4, да. Да ладно вам. Симуляция, что ли?
Что это, я понимаю?
Мы в космосе. Ребята, мы в космосе.
Это была симуляция?
Шумерские символы, смотри.
Ой, а что мы в космосе-то делаем? Выходит, это все было не по-настоящему?
Либо так. Наконец-то мы встретились.
Скорее всего, да. Все было не по-настоящему.
Смотри. Это, которая нас встречала.
Она сказала,
офигеть. Смотри. Это огромный куб. Не куб, а шестигранник, я не знаю, многогранник какой-то.
As you have already gathered, I've been known by many names. Nergal to the Sumerians, Osiris to the Egyptians, Hades to the Greeks, and Pluto to the Romans. But the one constant through it all has been my title, God of the Underworld. And I've been watching you with curiosity, mortal, ever since your arrival. You're unlike the others, aren't you? And what is more, you carry a weapon that was never intended for mortals to wield, and you do it so.
Да, но за это по головке не похоже.
There will be time for your reckoning later. First, as a reward for undoing the desecration of my obelisk, I will allow you to satisfy your curiosity.
Наконец-то.
Ask what you will.
Давайте потихоньку.
My story is many thousands of years long. You will need to be more specific. What do you wish to know? My kin and I
понятно,
adopted this form long ago, so that we might better understand and communicate with your kind. In time, we grew fond of the sensory delights it affords: desire, joy, ecstasy, even rage and sorrow, while an acquired taste can be addictive. It is a matter of perspective. God is a label I was given by the mortals.
Он инопланетянин, короче, какой-то.
Your
Какая-то
ancestors
сущность.
revered me because to them, my knowledge and technology made me incomprehensibly powerful, just as you might seem so to an insect. But despite all that, there are rules even I must obey. No. Long ago I swore to Persephone that I would remain in this form for as long as we
Получается, ты
remain
никак
among
не
your kind.
мертвый, если ты инопланетянин.
I must honor that.
Мертвый.
This is my beloved. Like me, she has been known by many names. Ereshkigal to the Sumerians, Isis to the Egyptians, Persephone to the Greeks, and Persephone to the Romans. Or perhaps you might know her as the goddess of springtime, the cycle of life.
Ее голос мы слышали. Она мысленно общается.
That is my servant. You would have met by the river, though she wears many faces and goes by many names.
Вот это, значит, мы встречали.
Kumutabal to the Sumerians, Kurti to the Egyptians, Charon to the Greeks, and Charon to the Romans. Her role is to ferry souls between the mortal world and this one, and to make their transition as seamless as possible. For that, she earned herself the infamous, if erroneous, moniker, the Feminine. You will talk more later. For now, ask your questions. As you wish. It has come to be known simply as the Underworld, and it exists because of a wager I made long ago. That is a long story, one that began over 3,000 years ago and continues to this day. You see, long ago my kin and I set out from our home on Elysium to search for other forms of life among the stars. We discovered your planet and witnessed your kind evolving from primates into something lawless and barbaric. You all but destroyed yourselves, your 2 short lives being extinguished by violence and ignorance and disease. Yet Persephone saw raw potential in you, and persuaded the rest of us it would be squandered without our intervention and stewardship. So we revealed ourselves to your people in a place called Sumer. We offered guidance in agriculture, toolcraft, and law, and you called us gods. For a time you flourished, but soon you were too many for us to oversee. And as you spread from that cradle of civilization, we saw something disturbing. We had sown the seeds of dependency and confusion, and soon you returned to your old ways of violence and ignorance, this time in our name. My kin had seen enough, and gave up on your kind, condemning you as barbaric and chaotic, scarcely more than animals. We began preparations to return to Elysium, our home world, a utopia unspoilt by conflict and unimaginable in its beauty. But my Persephone could not bear to abandon your kind without guidance, and knowing it would force the rest of us to leave her behind, she made an extraordinary sacrifice. She gave up her immortality to descend permanently to the ranks of humankind. And so she began her inescapable trajectory toward death. Horrified, I acted swiftly. I placed her in suspended animation in a deep frozen sleep to prevent age and sickness from claiming her. And then I pleaded with Persephone's father, who the Romans called Jupiter, to bring her with us to Elysium. It was and is my hope that once there, we might one day learn to undo what she has done to herself. But he refused. I did everything I could to persuade him, but he would not relent. he would rigidly uphold his final pronouncement. Humans were unworthy of ascension to Elysium. No exceptions would be made. But seeing that I was aggrieved, he proposed a wager, the terms of which were as follows. If even one human city could prove itself capable of living without sin for a single year, then Proserpina and all of humanity would be permitted to join us in Elysium. My part would be to remain behind, the last of my kind, to watch over you without interfering, and to sit in silent judgment. And so my reward has been to languish here, enduring a 3,000-year winter, waiting for the day your kind proves itself worthy of her faith in you, so that I might take her with me to Elysium and unthaw my goddess of springtime. And here I am, after all this time, still waiting. There were also gods who, like me, have been known by many names, but perhaps you knew them by their Roman names. Our leader, Jupiter, as well as Neptune, Saturn, Juno, Minerva, Mars, Venus, Apollo, Diana, Vulcan, Vesta, Ceres, and of course, my beloved Proserpina. As the first wave of your kind arrived from Sumer, I had them build a city in their own fashion, so that they might be comfortable and recreate their lives here. I had them build the entrance as a vertical shaft leading to baths, to cleanse them of the sins of their former lives, and to prevent escape. I watched wave after wave of Sumerians arrive, and as their civilization declined over the centuries, they were replaced by Egyptians. Of course, believing themselves to be the superior civilization, the Egyptians promptly built over what had been built before, and made all the same mistakes. After another 1,000 years, the Greeks began to arrive, and then the Romans, and they all did the same thing. They built upon the underworlds of their predecessors, renamed their gods, and ensured their foundations were forgotten. To ensure the wager was fair, it was important that my subjects were chosen at random. To this end, I had my servant distribute 1,000 tokens fashioned from silver, a rare element at the time, across all of Sumer. Whoever died while in possession of one of them would be located by my servant and ferried to this place, with no memory of how they arrived. As the tokens were discovered, they were traded, smelted, and fashioned into trinkets, and eventually coins, spreading to Egypt like seeds on the wind. Later, when they spread to Greece, they would come to be known as Charon's obol, or as coins for the ferryman. Some placed coins in the mouths of their dead, hoping they would awaken here, though they had no way of knowing which coins were fashioned from the original tokens. In fact, almost all of the tokens are accounted for, only 2 remain. And so after this wave destroys itself, as it is destined to do, your kind would have squandered the last of its potential to ascend beyond this rock, and Proserpina's along with it. It is a regrettable story. One of the first men who came to this place was a king of Sumer, and a troublemaker. To be rid of him, I returned him to his people, on the condition that my servant erased his memories of this place. But the erasure did not take completely, and he told stories of this place as if describing memories of a dream. His tales were committed to writing, which came to be known as the Epic of Gilgamesh. His words were twisted and distorted over generations. Later, the Egyptians would adapt Sumer's stories of the underworld, making them wildly intricate and labyrinthine. Their Book of the Dead and Book of Gates bore less and less resemblance to this place in their priests' pursuit of profit. Then, when the Greeks began to arrive, they proved far more cunning, and in a series of incidents that will not be repeated, 5 of them escaped. A warrior named Heracles, two kings named Sisyphus and Theseus, a poet named Orpheus, and a Trojan named Aeneas. They each told embellished tales of this place, how to get here, and how to escape. And so from Sumer to Egypt, Greece to Rome, your kind has always told each other stories about this place, though each story contained only a seed of truth. Of course, that is merely the name your people have given to it, but that is a story dating back to the very first wave. Now this man was unmarried, and many women were vying to become his wife. Of all the women, two were particularly ambitious. Both were beautiful, and both around their hair woven in elaborate fashion. The first woman recognized, draped herself in jewelry, ornate necklaces. Seeing this ostentatious display, the second woman grew envious, for she had no... She prayed aloud to any gods that would listen to cover her in gold. And when her prayer went, while the others indulged at the banquet, the second woman, she checked that nobody was watching, and pushed her rival from the top of the ziggurat, but I was watching. And I took the golden bow left behind by Diana, and I shot that woman in the heart, covering her from, and I left her to stand there, that she might serve as a grim reminder of what, but that was not enough, for the entire city was tainted by her sin. So I had no choice but to wipe the slate clean. I gilded them all to make, and to this day, each of them, and all that came after, line the halls of this city, suspended in time with only their sight and hearing preserved, so they may bear witness to and lament the folly.
Yes.
I give your kind a second chance at life, as well as ample warning about my law. And when you disobey, and you always disobey, you force my hand, bringing terrible suffering upon yourselves. And so you ask if I am the one destroying your lives. And I say, no, you destroy yourselves. I am merely the means by which you do it. When my kin departed, they left behind many relics which I inherited. A consolation prize of sorts. The golden bow originally belonged to one of my kin, who the Romans called Diana. As my collection of golden statues grew, I chose the most ferocious among them, and equipped them each with a duplicate of her bow, and tasked them with hunting down the Forsaken at my behest. They became known simply as Furies. I've always considered that the cornerstone of morality is the ability to determine right from wrong on one's own. No attempt to lay out rules like your Code of Hammurabi or your 12 Tables of the Roman Republic can ever cover all possible scenarios. This should come as no surprise to you, since the core principle has been expressed in many forms by many of your civilizations. The Egyptians made a rudimentary attempt with do to the doer to make him do. The Greeks refined it with avoid doing what you would blame others for doing. The Roman Stoics added treat your inferior as you would wish your superior to treat you. Even the so-called cultists hiding among you often say do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It is the simplest of concepts, and each one of you is born with the faculties required to apply it to any situation. Yet none of the peoples who expressed this rule were able to uphold it. Curious, is it not? For you, perhaps. I'm able to commune with all the statues in the city. Their ears are my ears, and their eyes are my eyes. If she was still conscious, I suppose she could, but she's not. Why do you ask? Then what an odd question. Do you plan to speak in sweeping generalizations, or are you going to give me an example? I have seen no such thing, but in any case, taking one's own life is a self-directed act. It is not one that is done to others, however they may be affected by it. Therefore, it cannot be said that one who commits suicide has done anything unto others. Now tell me, what other sins do you believe I have overlooked? Ah, the tavern keeper, yes? How is that inconsistent with the rule? I disagree. Having watched that tavern keeper, that is precisely what she would expect from others. She would view it as a game, one she intends to win. Applying this rule always requires speculation to some degree. It requires us to ask what another person would want if they found themselves in another situation. Not if we're wise enough to know the mind of man. Supposing you're right, then my law has been broken, and I should turn you all to gold immediately. Is that what you want? Now tell me, what other sins do you believe I have overlooked? You speak of the moneylender. How is that inconsistent with the rule? And he would never have signed a contract pledging his labor for 30 years. All he did was enforce the terms of a contract signed voluntarily by others. Ignoring your irritating sense of moral superiority, this is interesting. I'm curious, how do people escape poverty where you're from? I see. And how long might it take such a person to repay their debt? I fail to see how your system of loans is significantly different to a debt bondsman signing over his labor for 30 years. Now tell me, what other sins do you believe I have overlooked? The midwife in the palace, yes. How is that inconsistent with the rule? The rule is do unto others, meaning other people. Those statues are something else now. Bloodless shadows, mere shapes of their former selves. They are forsaken. What happens to them is no concern of mine. Applying this rule always requires us to interpret the meaning of the words. A literal interpretation helps to minimize the ambiguities of your primitive language. Supposing you're right, then Now tell me, what other sins do you believe I have overlooked? Abduction? You mean the magistrate imprisoning his daughter in the cistern, I take it. He did so because she sought to escape, a sin I take particularly seriously. Better that he stops her from escaping, albeit brutishly, than I have to wipe out this entire city to punish her. Wouldn't you agree? Supposing you're right, then my laws... Now tell me, Do you honestly think you could do better? Then you are a fool. But what else did I expect from a mortal? Now, did you have any other questions before your reckoning? Very well. Good. Then now it is time for your reckoning. Only, it seems, something is wrong. It has long been within my power to see into the hearts of mortals and weigh their deeds in life. But when I peer into you, I see only a blank slate, as if you did not exist until you appeared in this city. How is this possible? Charon, where did you find this one?
I do not remember ferrying you. How did you come here?
You would have us believe that my servant merely forgot bringing you here.
If that is true, then I sense the intervention of someone powerful.
How did you come to be in this time, mortal? Who brought you here?
He cannot know.
I do not know. My kin departed long ago, and Proserpina has slumbered for 3,000 years. Tread lightly, mortal. Enough of this. It seems I will need to put your reckoning on hold for now. But answer this. Why have you come here? What is it you seek? Your hubris is amusing, so I will allow you to make your case. But I warn you, if you anger me or waste my time with lies or wrong-headed arguments, you face death here. So, tell me, why should I put an end to the so-called Golden Rule? How so? And be specific. You have made a grave allegation, and I expect you to back it up. I admit, I have grown disturbed watching him. His cruelty does seem to grow greater by the day. He is a volatile and confused fellow, that one. Pathetic. You will need to do a lot better than that. That is a very serious accusation, mortal. What sin have I committed? What evidence do you have to support it? These people were all dead when my servant found them. I gave them a second chance at life. Would you prefer to have simply ceased to exist? Accordingly, I reject your argument. Every one of those people was guilty of failing to ensure their peers lived virtuously. They failed collectively, and so they were punished collectively. The Romans understand this, as did the Greeks before them. How unfortunate that we are not where you are from. Ah, but I am a god, and you are a mortal. Why would you expect me to treat you as I treat my own kind? You are not a peer. You are not a respected equal. Let me ask you this. Do you treat insects as you wish to be treated? Do you care for their well-being as you would your fellow man? Do you ensure they have food and shelter and protection from predators? Do you give them rights? Of course not, because that would be absurd, just as it would be absurd for me to treat your kind as equals. Where to begin? Our lifespans exceed yours by thousands of years, in which time we accumulate vast wisdom and a mastery of technology you cannot begin to imagine. It would be most unwise to get ideas about attacking me, because that is the source of our power over you. You could say that. My kin have no superiors. That is true. Go on. Make your point, mortal. Let me ponder that for a moment. If you are right, then it would follow that all this time I've been in the wrong. But no. The very thought of it grieves me. How can I accept your argument when doing so would make me a tyrant and a monster? Wait, what? What are you saying? You have spoken eloquently, and yet, if what you say is true, it follows that my wager was fatally flawed from the beginning. But that would mean Jupiter, Proserpina's father, who knew more about you than anyone, proposed a wager I could never win. Why would he do that? Perhaps, but if that was so, surely I would have sensed his deception. How could I have been so blind for so long? Your words sting me, mortal. But perhaps it is what I deserve. As difficult as this is to admit, I have suspected as much for a long time now. And I cannot deny it any longer. I've been so fixated on taking my beloved to Elysium that every time one of you sinned, it wore away my hope of being with her again. In time, I began to despise your kind for making her believe that you could ever be better than you are. But my rage was not born of malice, quite the opposite. Everything I have done, I did because I loved her. Who knew this empathy of yours, which you celebrate so much, could have such a dark underside? This has gone on too long. It is time for me to let go of this form, of her, of all of you. But know this, If I abandon the wager and leave for Elysium, neither she nor your kind may ever ascend. Because doing so would violate the rules of my sacred agreement with Jupiter, and you would receive a hostile reception. The best I can do is return you to the land of the living. I will have Charon make arrangements to ferry the others. But as for you, be aware you will be separated from the rest. Once this exodus begins, the events that brought you to this moment will never have taken place, and you will have created a paradox. What will become of you is difficult to predict, but that is the risk you have taken by interfering in the natural flow of time. Now, are you ready? Farewell, mortal.
Oh. Hi there. Gave me a bit of a fright. Thought I was in here alone. I'm Al. Well, here I am. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Oh, did that lady in the forest send you in here after me? I guess I lost track of time, learning about the history of this place, and it is extraordinary. I'm fairly certain you and I are the first people to set foot in this city for about 2,000 years. Fortunately for us, the last person in here was a Roman man named Galerius, who inscribed an account into a tablet. Apparently there was a community of 20-something people trapped in here, and living in fear of a curse they called the Golden Rule. They believed that if even one person sinned, an unknown god would cast them all into gold, like the 1,000 people who'd lived here before them. Then, one day, just as Galerius had finished praying for a good harvest at the shrine of Proserpina, an oracle appeared and told him how to solve the ills of the city, like saving the life of a dying woman, preventing the suicide of a man in debt bondage, freeing a falsely accused prisoner, foiling an assassination attempt, and so on. Meanwhile, the oracle walked up to the temple of the mysterious god, this one right here, and demanded an audience, and the doors just opened up to her. Nobody knows what went on in there, but Galerius wrote the oracle must have been more persuasive than Odysseus, because the next thing he knew, the ground shook and the voice of that god rang out over the city. The many have suffered long enough. Unfortunately, Galerius' account just sort of stops after that, leaving a lot of questions unanswered. What became of him and the other people who lived here? What happened to all the golden statues? And did this mysterious oracle single-handedly undo the curse that had terrorized people for hundreds of years? What? Oh, I see. For a moment there I thought you were serious. Anyway, I think I found a way out through the aqueduct that brought water into the city. Follow me.
Загрузка идет.
Ну, впрочем, если будет потирать. Интересно, слушай, вообще. Там должно быть много концовок, на самом деле.
Ну, по идее, одна из концовок мы так и не узнали, что с Прозерпиной стало, кстати.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pause here for a moment and make sure nobody else has ever lured into this temple. You go on ahead. I'll be there soon.
Мне сейчас кажется, что мы кого-то встретим там.
Наверное, Харон. Она же сказала, что мы еще поговорим с ней.
Mm-hmm.
И божество сказало, что мы потом поговорим с ней.
Спасибо.
Вот она. Я же говорю.
You're back. But you're alone. Does that mean you didn't find Al? Oh, what a relief. Thank you so much. I was beginning to think you'd both become trapped in there. Why don't you tell me what you discovered while we wait?
Ah, I see. I thought you might. Well, now you know.
Глазки сразу изменились.
You can just call me Charon if you like. I am sorry I was not completely honest with you when we first.
Сразу бы меня это напугало.
I do not enjoy deceiving people. Believe me, I do not. But I have learned from 5,000 years of experience that most people find comfort in familiarity, in gradual change, and coming to see the truth in their own time. That you died, of course. You were dead when I brought you here. My role, as the servant of the god of the underworld, has always been to assist the chosen to cross the threshold from the land of the living to the land of the dead. Usually, when people do not remember how they died, it is because they suffered a terrible trauma. Most souls would rather not remember. Ask yourself honestly, do you really want to know?
Говори.
As you wish. You were murdered.
Логично.
You were exploring an old tomb when you discovered a cache of forgotten relics.
Вот почему мы здесь.
Coins of ancient origin. Unfortunately, as you emerged into daylight, you were set upon by two thieves. A nearby hiker saw the scuffle break out and leapt to your aid, trying to help you recover your bounty. You both fought bravely, but your assailants were armed, and you were not. There was nothing you or your ally could have done. He died instantly at the scene, and you followed a few hours later. That man's name was Al Worth. You were each in possession of a sacred coin, called Karen's Opal by some, and so it was my duty to bring you here. It means I am now bereft of purpose. There is nobody else to ferry here, nobody to keep you company. After 5,000 years, the underworld has finally run its course.
Yeah.
Perhaps you have heard the tales of the Greeks and Romans burying their dead with a coin in their mouths to pay the ferryman for passage across the river. Well, those stories contained a seed of truth, but not any coin would do. A long time ago, my master created 1,000 silver coins and had me distribute them across the world. My orders were simple. Whenever a person died in possession of a coin, I was to locate them and ferry them here. It means I am now bereft of purpose. There is nobody else to ferry here. No. I see no point in keeping you here. But I have to ask one thing. That you keep this to yourself.
Look! Here comes Al now. Al! It's so good to see you. You were gone so long I thought I'd never see you again.
Kind of lost track of
Быстро,
time.
жадно переключилась.
You wouldn't believe what we found. The ruins of a long-forgotten city.
Что
There was
интересно
a
с теми
tablet
людьми?
describing an oracle who confronted God and undid an ancient curse.
Sounds like quite a story. And I look forward to hearing all about it. But you two look exhausted. Why don't you hop in my boat and rest while I ferry you back to civilization?
Sounds good to me.
And you? Are you ready to go home?
Год спустя. Капец.
Мне не нравятся эти двери.
Хочется лук достать сразу, да?
Да. Подожди. Фонарик на месте. У нас так фонарик опять.
О!
А, это Элворд.
I read your book and what the critics said about it. I guess they weren't ready for your theories about the underworld. Anyway, after everything you've been through, I thought you might appreciate some good news.
Слушай, может,
so after we got back to the real world, I started doing some research into the people mentioned in Galerius's tablet, and I found something strange. I'm sorry I've been so cryptic. I've been dying to tell you. I just really wanted you to see this for yourself. Why don't you head on down there? I'll catch up with you at the other end.
На этого похож, нет?
Да. А сейчас окажется, что они все вернулись в свое время. Ой, да ладно.
Ты что?
It's a crazy story. After you disappeared, Charon appeared and told us she was returning us to the world. Even gave us some coins to help us start our lives over. Only, for some reason, she returned us to your world instead of ours.
Круто.
Anyway, I know we only ever had that one conversation, and I wasn't even sure if you'd remember me, but I wanted to say thanks for freeing us from the underworld and...
Кажется, самая лучшая концовка, по-моему, если мы занимались. Классно. Чем занимаешься?
Oh, I used Charon's gift to buy a farm in Umbria.
Ты.
Got a villa on it too, with enough room for Julie.
Блин, мы же в этой реальности цветочки не подарили. Слышь?
Подожди, мы сейчас его спросим.
Все. Да, все нормально. Главное, чтобы этот мужик был счастлив.
Да, это самая хорошая концовка, наверное, на которую можно было.
Да.
Of course, there's a whole museum full of people waiting for a chance to thank you. So you'd better keep moving. We'll speak again soon, my friend.
Так, я знаю, с кем я хочу поговорить.
С кем? Это все?
Это Эквития и Дули.
Может, с всеми пообщаться?
Думаешь, со всеми?
Конечно, может, будет интересно посмотреть.
А может, она не помнит?
Скорее всего, да.
А, нет, все-таки она это. Просто мы не особо с кем говорили.
And it still feels a little sacrilegious to say this. I'm finding life after religion quite enjoyable. Galerius and I are engaged and expecting.
А, она еще беременная.
In the countryside, with room for a large family, and Dooley too, of course. It feels like the world has just opened up for us. There's so much to learn, and so many more possibilities for our children than we ever imagined. We're just so thankful for what you did for us. Oh, it's sweet of you to ask. She recovered nicely. In fact, she's here somewhere.
Которая знала, что мы в подземном мире.
See you at the wedding, I hope.
Ну, с Дули говорить бессмысленно.
Да.
Гораций. Этот, который...
Ну, видно, что он военный.
understand we have you to thank for giving us a second chance at life and reuniting Centilla with us as well. So, thank you. Oh, I remembered that. Thank you. I grieved for a time, but that's done. In the words of Epictetus, as those who rode behind triumphant generals remind them they are mortal, remind yourself your precious one isn't one of your possessions, but something given for now, not forever. Thanks. Oh, and I don't know if you've heard, but a few of us are Going for drinks later? It'd be nice to chat with you some more. Great.
Чем занимаешься?
I'm living up north and studying in the military academy in Modena. I'm going to be an officer one day. The world's changed, but some things stay the same. Would you believe we're still studying military tactics from my time? Alexander the Great, Caesar, Hannibal Barca. Still, I have to keep challenging myself to let go of old ways of thinking and embrace the new. As Seneca wrote, the ones who pioneered our paths aren't our masters, but our guides. He's not my... Oh, I see what you did there. Good one. He had more trouble adapting than most. He got himself disqualified from the UFC, so he started some kind of underground blood sport tournament, like we had in Rome. Suppose it appealed to people's baser instincts. And they say he made some good coin, killing a bunch of men like that. But his luck finally ran out, and his life along with it. You know what they say. Live by the sword, die by the sword. You're not wrong. See you at drinks later, I hope.
Hi there.
Так. Лукреция. Это, по-моему, у нас...
You are here?
Да.
It's nice to finally meet you. Lucy is fine. I'm making an effort to blend in, as you can see. We are all trying to keep a low profile.
Это та, которая лечила нас.
Died 2000 years ago and was suddenly brought back to life 12 months ago. They'd never leave us alone.
Ну, Юлию пыталась спасти, которая.
I wanted to say thank you in person. I'd say the gods smile on you, but I hear you drove the last of them off. So I'm studying to get into medical school. As much as I resented the responsibility of keeping everyone in the city alive, when it ended, I realized I missed it. So I guess I'll just keep saving the world, if begrudgingly.
Она пойдет учиться на врача.
You too. Don't be a
Кстати, она сказала, что в том-то и дело, что они возродились 18 месяцев назад только. Ну, видимо, только их нашли. Это Юлия.
You're the Oracle, right? Oh, of course. Sorry. And I never got a chance to thank you for telling Galerius how to save my life. And of course, getting me and all of us out of a terrible situation. Oh, I barely recognize myself. I'm living in a house share in London with my wonderful girlfriend. And I'm studying
Она лесбиянка.
Eventually I want to travel the world and write about it. Turns out, it's about 30 times bigger than the Roman Empire ever was.
Живет в Лондоне со своей девушкой.
Continents Rome never knew existed. And you can travel almost anywhere in an aircraft, which is rather like flying on a Pegasus, but much more comfortable. Oh, sorry, you already know all that, of course. I'm just so excited. There's so much to see.
Она, судя по всему, писательницей стала.
I have noticed people from your time have no idea how fortunate they are. I hope to change that. One day. Last I heard, Malleolus kept insisting he was the last rightful ruler of the Roman Empire.
Малеол в психбольнице. Потому что он утверждает, что он сейчас.
Someone said she'd blown all her money on wine, trying to drink herself back to the underworld. After the horrific way they treated Ulpius and me, I can't help feeling a sense of... what's that German word? Schadenfreude?
Короче, Малеол утверждал, что он последний правитель Римской империи, его отправили в психбольницу. А его жена, которая была очень несчастная, продолжила спиваться.
I couldn't agree more. Ugh,
Someone told me she was boasting about getting her claws into some rich prince, and how she was going to be living the high life from now on. Even in your time, life still isn't fair. Apparently, he'd proposed before they'd even met. And last I heard, she'd bought herself a first-class one-way ticket to join him in some exotic place called... what was it? Nigeria? Some people have all the luck.
Короче, хозяйка таверны запустила коготки в какого-то богатенького принца и улетела в Нигерию выходить за него замуж.
Понятно, по ней видно, что он такая сучка.
Ну, а есть такой вариант ответов. Это сказала, что жизнь до сих пор несправедлива. А есть такой вариантов. Не переживай, что-то подсказывает мне, что она получит по заслугам. Или как оракул я вижу в ее будущем сильнейшее разочарование.
Well, you are the oracle, so I
Ну, ты оракул, так что я поверю тебе на слово.
I feel better already.
Мне сразу стало легче, спасибо.
You too. If you're ever in London, let me know. We can go to bars and drink wine and listen to the stories of the 9 million people who live there. I hope so.
Так, с этими поговорили. Короче, Малиола, и это здесь нету. Поехали дальше. Это у нас кто? О, философ-отшельник здесь. Я беспокоилась за него тоже. Его зовут Филипп.
Let alone the city. And now I'm living in the 21st century. What a time to be alive. And it seems I have your catabasis to thank for it. I'm working as a consultant to the Faculty of Classics at Cambridge University, helping fill the odd gap in their knowledge. Not that I need the money, but I do love being around enlightened minds again.
Короче, он в Кембридже работает. Помогает заполнить пробелы в знаниях в нынешних философов. Говорит, деньги-то мне не нужны, но мне приятнее находиться в обществе образованных людей. Это Георгий, который одеждой торговал.
I am told we have you to thank for freeing us from Hades.
Hello.
And for that, I am most grateful. I am reacquainting myself with Greece. It has changed so much over the last 2,000 years, I barely recognize it. This is at once heartbreaking and thrilling. Perhaps one day, once I have seen all of this new Greece and sampled her delights, I will settle down in Santorini in a villa overlooking the Azure Aegean Sea. I hope you will join me there and regale me with the story of how you faced off against the fearsome god of the underworld and won. You too, my friend.
Короче, он знакомится с Новой Грецией. Говорит, что ее изменения и будоражат, и как бы расстраивают. Фабия.
I'm Fabia. I wanted to say thanks for sending Galerius to save my life. I don't know how you knew, but I would have been
Да, которую мы от этого спасли. Ну, не от маньяка, а от обрушения храма на ее голову.
I'm just so happy to be here with you and everyone together again, even if it's just for one more night. Well, it's not like I have to work with all the silver Charon gave me, so I just do what makes me happy. Mostly that means baking for my friends and looking at memes while binging TV shows in yoga pants. What a time to be alive. Thank you. I really am.
Короче, дело в том, что им Харон всем дала кучу денег на новую жизнь, Вот. Это печет булочки для друзей и смотрит мемасики в интернете. Да. Октавия, это которая христианка была.
I was sure the person who drove off the last pagan god would have more important things to do than visit the likes of us. But thank you for coming and for saving our lives. What you did was extraordinary, and I'll never forget it. I'm living in Rome again, in a charming little flat by the Tiber. Not far from my old place. Oh, and I'm training to be a...
Учится на кризис-консультанта.
After you sent Galerius to persuade Ulpius not to take his own life, I was inspired. I just want to spend the rest of my life helping people, like you helped him. Thank you. That means a lot. And you.
Good evening.
Ливия, это та, которая пыталась спасти кучу людей. Ну...
Thank you for your kind words and for liberating us all. In all the time I was in the underworld, I never once imagined that I might end up in a place so much like Elysium.
А, нет, Ливия это которая парикмахером была. Которая поняла, что это подземный мир.
Recovering. Octavia was kind enough to let me stay with her for a while. At least until I'm well enough to be independent again. Ah, you remember that. I'm a little tired of Ovid, but that's all right. I have 2,000 years worth of poetry to catch up on now. I'm already up to the 19th century, and am quite enjoying the work of a fellow named Poe. I think I may have found a kindred spirit. Men have called me mad, but the question is not yet settled whether madness is or is not the loftiest intelligence. And you.
О, пока не может до сих пор еще оправиться, живет с Октавией, читает Эдгара Аллана По. О. Да.
You must be the oracle I've heard so much about.
Он стал похож на Миража Apex Legends, кстати.
Listen, I wanted to express my sincere appreciation for what you did. If it wasn't for you, I'd never been able to sell all those useless old relics I accumulated. Whatever you did in that temple made me a very wealthy man. Thank you. Most gracious of you. I took the money I made from selling my trinkets and started investing in the stock market. That's where the real money is now.
Инвестор, фондовый рынок.
I was hoping to ask your advice. You being the oracle and future seer and all that, on which stocks I should invest in.
Спрашивает, какие акции лучше вложиться.
Fossil fuels, tobacco, gambling and arms. What would you recommend? Oh, don't be like that. You can tell your old pal Dacius. I won't take no for an answer.
В любом случае мы соврем. Не вредничай, ты все равно, ты все можешь рассказать своему старому приятелю детства, я от тебя не отстану. У проката DVD «Светлое будущее», телевидение станет следующей великой вещью. Печатные СМИ вернуть себе былую популярность. Что ему скажем?
Go home and buy up as much stock as I can tonight. I'm gonna make a bloody fortune. Of course, don't let me keep you.
Как был зараза, так и зараза и остался. Единственный неприятный тип, которого было не жалко. Ну, там была еще парочка, конечно. Хабаш, египтянин.
It is an honor to finally meet you, Oracle. You know my name? Oh, of course. You are an oracle. You know many things. I too would like to offer my thanks for releasing us from that place and for your role in bringing us here. This world is truly wondrous. For a time, I returned to Alexandria, but they have no need of another fisherman, and I came to see there is nothing for me there. Instead, I have decided to follow the custom of your youths and backpack the world. It is a great adventure, and I have met many people from many cultures. I spent the first 25 years of my life avoiding the 42 sins that would deny me access to the afterlife. Now, I think it is time I had some fun.
Короче, он путешествовал, а теперь говорит, что первые 25 лет своей жизни я избегал 42 грехов, которые лишили бы меня загробной жизни. Думаю, пришло время повеселиться.
Indeed. Thank you, Oracle.
Ну, по крайней мере, пускай просвещается человек. Руфий. Это тот, который болел.
Go by Rufus now. New start, new name. Oh, and thanks, by the way, for what you did. Sorry, I'm no good with the mushy stuff. Good to know. Anyway, it was good practice for the new world. Security cameras and smartphones everywhere.
Говорит, что знание, что статуи следили за ним, подготовил к этому миру с его камерами и смартфонами. Говорит, надо быть начеку.
Думал, с этим начал жить.
I live with Virgil in Rotterdam, not far from where he grew up. It's very modern. Destroyed in the war and it...
По-моему, он с ним и живет. Написал, что живу с Вирджилом. У него тоже имя немножко изменилось. Теперь он Руфус. Ой, блин. Это тот, который... архитектор.
So nice to finally meet you. I've heard so much about you.
Это тот, который был Вергилий. Теперь он Вирджил.
For getting us out of there, and for helping Rufus come to terms with himself. He may come off a little gruff, but once you get past that.
Короче, нашли друг друга.
I'm studying to be an architect again and living with Rufus in our beautiful flat in Rotterdam, just down the river from Nijmegen, where I grew up. Of course, it's improved immensely since I was there last. Gleaming futuristic buildings and clean streets full of educated, accepting people. You natives of the 21st century have no idea how fortunate you are. You too.
Короче, радоваться не может, что наш мир более толерантен. И снова учится на архитектора.
Hello there.
Это Синтила.
I go by Gabriella now. I didn't want to be reminded of that monster every time I heard my own name.
Теперь ее зовут Габриэла.
You didn't hear? My adoptive father, Sentius, locked me up in the upper cistern to stop me from escaping. After he drove Pluto off, Proserpina came and released me, and that monster got what was coming to him. Don't worry, nobody did. I'm living with Ulpius on a little vineyard in Umbria. It's even more wonderful than I dreamed it would be. I'm so grateful to you for making sure he's still with us. If you're ever passing through the region, I hope you'll come and visit us. You can try some of our very own wine.
Короче, она с Ульпием живет на винограднике своем, который хотел жизнь самоубийством покончить. Приглашает заглянуть на их виноградник как-нибудь.
It's nice to finally put a face to the name. I'm Ulpius. I understand I have you to thank for sending Galerius to save my life. The way you just showed up out of the blue and stopped me from making a terrible mistake. I'll be forever in your debt. I'm living with Gabriella in Umbria. We finally bought the little vineyard we always dreamed of. It'll be a little while before we know what we're doing, but every day I look at her and this extraordinary new world with all its beauty, and I think, what if I'd given up hope? Missed out on all of this. So we're living each day to the fullest. And we end them all the same way. Sitting together on our terrace with a glass of our wine, which the locals say is almost drinkable now. And watching the sunset.
Короче, наслаждается вместе с жизнью на винограднике.
Couldn't be happier. Thank you.
Поблагодарил.
You too.
Так, мы со всеми поговорили. Посмотрим. Тут еще кто-то ведь есть.
There you are. I hope you enjoyed.
Надеюсь, тебе понравилось.
Now, there's one more person I wanted to introduce you to. I think you know her.
Sorry if I frightened you. Just a little joke I've been saving for a long, long time.
Прозерпина. Потому что мы с ней не были знакомы.
Allow me to introduce myself properly. I am Proserpina, former goddess of the cycle of life and renewal.
Это та, которая была богиней.
I wanted to meet you in person and thank you for freeing all these people and me.
Благодарит, что освободили ее. Она просто к нам подкралась и прошептала сзади.
Indeed. Suffice it to say that while Pluto was controlling the eyes and ears of each golden statue, I was able to control their tongues and whisper to you when he was distracted. I am sorry my messages were so cryptic. There were only ever brief windows in which I could speak to you without being detected.
Короче, под контролем у Плутона были глаза и уши. Когда он отвлекался, она нам нашептывала. Да.
I may have given up my immortality.
Возможно.
But I still retain my gifts as the goddess of the cycle of life and renewal. After witnessing Pluto punish countless poor souls over thousands of years, I knew this generation, the final wave, would not survive. So I tried to give them a way to buy more time. A second chance. Rather, as many second chances as they needed to avoid his wrath. So I whispered to Sentius in secret, telling him the prayer required to create a portal in my shrine. I knew the danger of humans being corrupted by godly power, and so I put a safeguard in place. I required the creator of the portal to sacrifice their own life, so that it could only be used selflessly to help others. What I did not anticipate is that Sentius would retain his accumulated memories from each previous day, and as a veteran soldier he had long since shed his fear of death. He quickly discovered that he could, in effect, prolong his own life indefinitely by exploiting the cycle. Of course, once I had taught him the prayer, I could not unteach him, and there was little I could do but wait for someone like you to come along and see him for what he was. We were all fortunate you came along when you did.
Короче, она сожалеет очень, что выбрала Сентия для этой цели, для создания портала. Говорит, я нашептала ему молитву, думала, что это будет бескорыстно, но не учла только одного, что он будет запоминать, что он запомнит, что происходило предыдущим днем. Вот, в результате получилось так, что он продлевал себе жизнь, хотя ритуал задумывался для, что бескорыстно должен был проводиться.
I don't know what happened to him. I haven't heard from him, and I rather hope it stays that way. Oh, she inherited dominion over the underworld. Last time we spoke, she was working on a new world of some kind. She wouldn't say what it was. But I'd be surprised if you don't run into her again. I imagine we all will. One day.
Неизвестно, что стало с Плутоном, а вот Харон унаследовал власть над подземным миром и создает какой-то новый мир. И что, возможно, сказал, Прозерпина сказала, что, возможно, мы все с ней когда-нибудь встретимся вновь.
And you, although it feels like I've known you forever. Oh, and one last thing. Do you remember all those golden statues scattered throughout the city? Good, because they remember you. Well done, my friend.
Это золотые статуи, которые стояли. Но он же всех отпустил. Все золотые статуи.
Какие молодцы. Теперь они будут бояться манекенов.
Да, наверное.
Какая концовка?
4 из 4.
Ну, это уже показано, что самое длинное, слышишь?
Угу. Ну, вот и подошло наше приключение к концу. А это, я так понимаю, разработчики, кто постарался над этой игрой.
Именно американский, да? Это написано, не знаю, пишется.
Да, похоже, что американцы. Александр, Джон, Ник. Надеемся, что вам игра пришлась по душе. Мы хотим и дальше создавать игры. Что они работают над новым проектом, и если хотим узнать о нем побольше, то вам сюда. Анонс.
Сейчас будет?
Нет, там просто ссылки были на куда пройти. Ну, вот и все. Наше приключение подошло к концу. Всем спасибо за внимание.